Stop right there. Yeah, you. If you like all things entertainment, current events, or Hollywood, then look no further. Creator to Creators, hosted by director Meosha Bean of Horror Noir, interviews filmmakers and creatives from around the world. Join in on the fun, guest celebrities, and informative information to have as a creator. Hit subscribe and stay connected to Creator to Creators.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators. Today, we have a special guest.
My name is Rebel ACA.
All right. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fantastic.
How do I say your name? Meosha.
Yeah, perfect. Meosha.
It's nice. That's like Japanese almost.
Yes, it is. It's actually Japanese. Perfect.
Okay,
Wow.
right.
Awesome. Very cool. I always love to start from the beginning, like I always say that your childhood is like, it kind of shows like paints like where you're going in life, like where you started from. So tell me a little bit about your childhood and what was that like growing up, and how did you kind of find your way into the music world?
My childhood. Well, I had to try to shrink once about my childhood, trying to work out why I was fucked up at that particular stage. Sorry, I don't mean to swear. We do it a lot. But anyway, yeah, and I got to the end. He said, "No, that's your parents are not responsible. You sound like you got pretty good parents. My parents have been pretty cool, I guess. My dad just worked all the time, and so I never saw him really. But he built this kind of cool family business, which I'm even still involved in. And my mum is just hilarious. Her mum never let her go out or do anything, so she just was super liberal, which is very cool of her. But to be honest, my real childhood was spent at boarding schools. I was sent away to boarding school from a young age. So it's like people ask where you come from. I don't really come from anywhere. I kind of come from Mars or nowhere. Other people, I learned this doing hip hop crews actually, were like early on, like in 2000 and stuff, when I had a label and we had a hip hop crew that I was scratching in and stuff. The further we went from London, the more people who like come from somewhere, came from South London, came from North London, would get more and more anxious, more and more like intimidated, aggressive, like all this behavior. And I found it really strange. As a kid who grew up really nowhere, it's like everywhere's new. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of everywhere's a threat and everywhere's an opportunity, as opposed to, it's like I feel the same everywhere. I can't, there's no street I can walk down. It's like it's the opposite of hip hop. I don't come from the street, but the weird thing about boarding school, it's a really horrible experience. I had a really, really terrible time.
Oh no.
Well, you're split from your parents, which is really strange, especially as they love you. So it's like the world's not ready for this conversation yet, by the way. Certainly not in this country. There's a huge amount of resentment towards privilege, and it's regarded as a privilege to go to boarding school because it costs money. But it's you actually have some same mental health issues of people who've been put in care or went to prison. It's called survival mentality. It's a psychological condition because you're not in a safe learning environment. Mm-hmm. So you can't show weakness. You're always trying to blend in. You never want to stick out. You never want to show that you don't understand something. So there's just all these mechanisms you sort of learn to sort of adapt. And mine was mostly single sex too. So it was mostly men. And then I had a really shitty time and got anorexia and was very unwell in my teens and stuff. Eventually came out. That just sort of shows I've had all the privilege in the world, and like everyone's life is so relative. There's no sort of, all experiences are a real mix of goods and bads. But in theory, on paper, you would say, hey, this whole family should be cool. The dad works hard. He's made money as an accountant. They went to good schools. What could be worse? Actually, weirdly, my brother had anorexia before me too. So like, got two kids in the family who got like sort of, quite one of the most serious mental health conditions, because it's got the highest death rate of any mental health condition. And it's true, like there's good chance if my brother hadn't got me out of it, you get stuck in it. Anyway, childhood. So I was in boarding school, and some of it was okay, but at some point it became very, very, very miserable, and I was very, very badly bullied. Like There was a year when no one would talk to me. Like I hear people talk on the radio about the bullying they had at school, and honestly, I think it might have been quite bad what I went through because it it never really sounds like shit. But anyway, that's life, you know.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, maybe that answers the question.
But you overcame that, and I mean, look at you now. I mean, you know what I mean?
Well,
Would you
to
say music
overcome it,
kind
I
of,
mean, you know, where does rapping come from? I mean, you
yeah.
know, you always got to have some kind of scar because it's like, well, when did I start writing stuff down? I started writing stuff down when when I was about 14 and
Wow.
bullying was very like there was a period for a year where basically, and I didn't tell anyone, but no, they put me in what's called Coventry just because I was too nice or something. I was like, it was horrible. But anyway, that's when the trueness of a piece of paper comes along, because if you really got nothing in the world, you've got nobody, you still have a piece of paper and a pen,
Right.
and you got yourself, and like the brutality of a piece of paper. Now I have to use it in a different direction. But back then it was the only place I could really write down what I was thinking. So it stopped just being in my head, which is actually like a problem shared is a problem halved. It's like it's a really important step just to get it out of your head, even if it's not to another person. You know, I would argue a lot of therapy is just based on someone listening, you know, but the weird thing now is when life is in a better place, it's harder to write the truth down, or maybe it just maybe it's just always hard to write the truth down, but when things are really bad, the truth becomes really obvious, you know. But yeah, that's definitely the seed of which you know sort of got planted, and you know why there's anyone who wants to stand up and say, you know, or is going to use an art form to try and deal with that issue, you know, it's got to be something else going on, I guess. I mean, anyway,
I think so.
Sorry.
No, I think that's, you know, really honest. You know, I think that I think music is like, you know, you said therapy, and it is that. It is, you know, putting it on paper, you know, and getting it out of your system, because what do you do with all the feelings and emotions that you have inside, you know? You're going to blow up, explode.
Well, it's one way of dealing with it. If you're some, I mean, I kind of joke, and I think there's some truth to it, that the music industry is half full of people with ADHD and half full of people with narcissism, and somehow and it is quite like that, because my experience of it is that you know there's a half the people I can't stand half the people. I always used to think that half of these people are my favorite people I've ever met, and half of them are the biggest arseholes I've ever met. And that honestly is a lot. You know, it's like also you can't find anyone in the music industry to actually do anything. Look, I also work in accountancy. I never wanted to be in accountancy, but that's the family business. And my dad's also very dyslexic and all this too. But you know, neither of us are that suited to accountancy, but we bring something different to the game. And so actually we become really valuable people because we are natural thinkers, and everyone else at the table is being boring. The opposite is true in the music industry. You've got everyone around the fucking table with ADHD and narcissism. So they're either really good at coming up with stuff but very bad at getting it done, or it's all about them and all about their ego and all about how, you know, they're central to everything, and they're likely also going to be the ones to be famous. So where are the accountants? Where are the boring people in the meeting? You know, where are the people who are just like, hey, I'm going to go get that organized and I'm going to enjoy doing that? So you've got this whole room full of all these crazy people, and then like, why ADHD in music? Because ADHD is better named attention-based interest. You're interested in you're interested. If you like something, you will give it your attention for days on end. And music just is one of the few things we have is that fascinating, and that you know, unlike an actor too, I can do it on my own and listen back to it and be pretty happy with it. You know, I don't need a stage. Anyway, I'm literally
no, I love that. I like your thoughts. That these are good. This is good. This is really interesting. I really want to talk a little bit about your single. You know, how did that come about? What was the process of making that? And how did you know, like, you know what, this is what I want. This is a hit. I'm gonna put it out.
Well, Wish it was. I don't know. We've got so many tunes to put out all the time. That, I mean, it just I was putting out one every sort of 6 weeks, but then it just so happened a load of things happened, and my sis passed and stuff's been going on. But anyway, and then Rodney, who's on it, his mum died, and
sorry to hear that.
Just so everything delayed this thing. So it was actually written a while ago. I would say it's 2018. No, it would have been 2017. I wrote the song with my friends, which is just a funky, like just a funky hip hop thing with my friends Pierre and little Roscoe. And then I wanted to do a song about migraines as we'd call it here, but because I get a lot of them, hence I'm wearing shades even now, because I use the computer a lot, like everyone, and it's definitely by wearing sunglasses I get a shitload less headaches. But
I'm sorry.
No, they're minor. My sister just died of cancer. I mean, it's fucking migraines. They suck. Where they really suck is they slow. I've now got mine a bit in better shape, but when you're having them once a week, you're losing a few days a week, and that's a lot of output. An American will understand that. That's a lot of my time earning money doing shit that is making my life quite because work don't die, so there's a lot to do. So the process, so we kind of wrote it as a song. Then my friend Spragga, we were putting this album together, which ended up being his album. It started as a collaboration. It was called Chiliagon, and Easy Star Records released it, which was nice, and it went that was went to Billboard #1, so that's great. And that's an amazing compilation album. So it was one of the songs that he then did. He written it originally with this sort of idea about migraines. He then added this chorus to it, sort of, because weed is quite useful for migraines, and so he sort of talks about that. And then Rodney heard it and added his bit, and then we actually did the video a while ago too. And then really I wanted to get this remix done, so we got a guy called DJ Phantasy, who's sort of one of the biggest legends in UK drum and bass, to remix it.
Nice.
It was nice. So it's sort of like a song should write itself, so usually it should happen a bit quicker than that, but this just sort of had steps and long gaps. I think people's biggest problem, it's like people always ask me at the time, how's the music going or whatever, and you're like, well, I'm writing, I'm making lots of it, but what they're really meaning is, how are you going at releasing and marketing your music? I think that's what they really mean, isn't it? And it's like, well, about the same as everyone else, badly. And as I say, there's no one in the room who's the accountant, and so you just got a load of ADHD people going around trying to do stuff, which is fucking chaotic at best. And either that or you I don't know. It's always an interesting question, isn't it? I'm sure I think you're a musician too, aren't you?
Well, I do film. I entertainment business. So I actually used to shoot a lot of music videos before I moved into films. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, I mean, I guess that's a different medium, but do you ever make stuff and not release it out of interest?
Yeah, definitely. I've made some things and I'm like, I don't know, I just don't want to put it out. I sit on it sometimes, and sometimes I guess it just depends on what I'm feeling. But sometimes, I mean, I'm trying to be more like what my friend tells me. She says, just put it out. You just never know. It's art. Someone is going to take away something from it. So I'm like, you're right.
That is true, but it's the sincerity. So that's the problem. What happens is you start writing something like Mygraine, and then you end up with oh wow, this is a really cool song, and then you've got a duty to it. That it's like, oh, that happens on an album. You start as it happened. Me and Spragga were just going to do a collaboration, and then we ended up with this oh wow, this is quite becoming quite an amazing collection of songs. And then it's like, bollocks, it's like the responsibility increases. It's like there's a similar metric, which is if music stops being fun, if you take it really seriously, music, it sucks in a way, and in a way maybe you're missing the point, because you get into that, well, if I'm not famous I shouldn't do it, and it's like, this is the most amazing art form of therapy, and you don't not run around the park because you're not as fast as Usain Bolt. I mean, you still run around the park, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you should make music if you find it a constructive and helpful and good thing to do, even if it's just for yourself, because people
Absolutely.
then get the ego thing that, oh, I'm a narcissist, or I don't want it to be. It's like, fuck that. If you're writing it down and making it into something is a way that helps you deal with it and no one deals with it, great. But the problem with it is that, yes, the more seriously you take it, the less it's, more responsibility is, the more painful it is. It's argumentative. Everyone's always disappointed because so few people are making. I mean, even the people you meet who are, legends or, respectable stars, they live show to show, most of them in the industry.
Yeah.
That unless you're at the Sean Paul level or something, or you're, even you're huge. So it's really difficult. But then at the other end, if you just do it completely for fun, like we end up with a problem. It's like, but yeah, okay, I can't just stick it out then, because it's like then no one will give a shit because nobody cares. I mean, rule number one of marketing: nobody cares. So,
right.
I mean, if you put it out without care, then nobody will care, and it will, nothing. So it's a fucker. See, then you end up stuck between the two, don't you? Because you're just like, well, I won't release it then. Or, what I'm trying to get out of too is everybody expects me to sort their shit out because I seem to be better at getting shit done than my other very ADHD friends. Because I've now worked out all of my friends who I really like have got ADHD. I'm almost completely convinced now. But it's like everyone will sort of hope you'll take their problems away.
Yeah,
but the thing, anyway, blah blah blah. I'm just rambling.
No, but you have a great point about that, about like when you said a lot of people, they don't, who are super talented, who don't actually make it at a certain level, or they're doing show to show. That's, and it's true. It's the same way for film and acting world, with hints and point, case in point, the strike, the acting strike that's happening right now, SAG after strike, and a lot of big celebrities are talking about like, I mean, I make 50 movies, or 30 movies in the year, and I still have to I have to pay the bills. I'm not like, whatever. And it's like, it's if you like, it's like if you love what you do, then, and don't have this like expectation on something like, oh, I want to get here. I think it's having that love for something that's going to keep you going, not the critics or what people are saying or the money. In case of what we just said, it's like, if you just love it, it's the art form of why you do it. It's therapy.
Yeah, you should
for yourself.
You maybe help me, because I, as a Brit, as a Londoner, I struggle a little bit with this narrative of like everyone should do a job that they love. It's a very American aspirational kind of dream, but it doesn't really make sense to me, because I'm like, but someone is still going to have to work in the abattoir. Someone is still going to have to work in the sewers. Like, you don't all get fucking clap around the streets doing shit. It's like on a basic level, I have another illustration, example. It's like, okay, if we paid everyone by the hour, we should probably give them £200 an hour to go work down the sewer. That's a shit job. So if someone's willing to do it and they need some money, it should be like, I'm gonna go work down the sewers. But if you want to be a rock star, it's like a penny an hour. It's like minus £10 an hour. Everyone wants, you get to be a rock star. So it ain't all bad. But you may have helped me a bit, because it's like, so I'm mixing up two things, but doing what you love, I just find it's a narrative that could be quite dangerous to the whole, work is still work.
Right.
Like, even, working in the music industry is still fucking databases and admin,
Right. Right.
Like, I mean, you ask artists, I'm sure you do. I have good friends, struggling artists, that's all they do, I'm lucky. I have other things in my life, and they fucking only get tiny, excuse my language, they only get tiny moments when they're on stage, and they're having these really good moments, and they're busting their ass the rest of the time dealing with admin and nonsense, isn't it? So I think, but I like the idea that you shouldn't stop doing something you love because of money, because that's more the angle we're discussing it from that frustrates me. I've had so many friends say, oh, I don't sing anymore, I never made it. I don't play guitar anymore because I saw Mark not whatever. And you're just like, I don't.
Then you don't love it if you just stop, right? If you love something,
that's a good point.
You're going to continue doing it.
I don't know. No, some of them do love it, and they feel demotivated. It's usually if you've tried to make it, like you've tried to like get somewhere with your music, and it's such a disheartening experience that no one gives a crap, and that maybe you're not as good as you thought you were, that you think, and maybe that sours your love, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, we're in a business that is the most difficult business, the entertainment business is just difficult in itself. I mean, how it's structurally made and built, it's really not. I always tell my actor friends and people in the business, I always say, listen, we're in the most critical business ever. Like, it is the most it's the hardest business, but that's why you have to know, like, that's why a lot of people don't make it, because it is one of those things. It's like, well, why do you do it? Like, I think that's the question that you have to ask yourself. Why do you do what? Yeah. Why are you doing it? To just
Not
make it?
School.
Yeah. For me, I think in the last 3 years, and I've been doing film. I went to film school and did acting as well. The last 3 years, like recently of my life, I've finally been seeing the what I've sowed into my career all these years now. Like, it's kind of crazy how it works. Hard work does pay off, but it's crazy because, like, so to me, it's like I really just love what I'm doing, right? I really love getting up and being on set and writing or making a project and putting it out there, not expecting to be
it's
where
nice
it
to
is.
make something. It's lovely to make something.
Yeah, and then you're surprised.
That's your motivation. You like making stuff.
I love it. Like, it
when you were young, you made stuff all the time and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love it.
You come from a big family with like lots of brothers and sisters, or
well, it's 4 of us. I'm the baby.
And I was about to say, you're the baby. I'm the baby of 4. It's like
all right.
Stuff. And other people, they would watch it and they'd like, they would make, that's a funny, it's a sort of liberal place in the family to sit. I should have guessed. No, but that makes, I like that. A sort of love of entertaining, and, because as the youngest, you always end up slightly entertaining anyway, because you're cute and whatever. No, but I like the concept that you love, but and why would you do it? I would agree too. I mean, I'm not an advisor. I'm an international tax advisor. It's my other life, really. I deal with businesses and all sorts of trades. And music, fashion, acting, I guess.
I love that.
They kick the shit. They're so hard. They're horrible businesses. I mean, fashion is almost all full of arseholes. I mean, it's a really nasty business. Music, as I say, at least I love half of the people who just love music and have probably got ADHD. That would be my assessment. They really struggle with their attention. They probably pound weed. They're just like a whole group of people that are just like anyone who obsesses about music in that kind of way. Quite highlight. But then there's acting. I had an actress girlfriend for years, and I think what I found really hard is most of my friends were in music is we would meet up, and the actors are very scared about showing any of their real person publicly, because they sort of got to be a canvas. They can't show that they smoke weed, or they can't just everything. They're very cautious of the external image. I don't know if you relate to it as an actor, because it's very important. They keep a white sheet. They're an actor. They're there. They don't want to get attached to something unless they're very particular. You become that character, and you're Al Pacino, and then you can sort of be Al Pacino in the wild, or Robert De Niro. I mean, it's unfair on Al Pacino. He did huge range of roles, but whatever. It's examples, but I found them a much more nervous profession. Whereas it's like, and you need a stage. Musicians, it's all from here. Musicians are often quite private people, but it's all about like getting my heart on being as real as I can. Like if you're in rock and roll, if you're, a famous rock and roll, you can do what the hell you want. You can take drugs, you can shag women left and right as a man. You look at hip hop now, I think it's ostentationally ridiculous.
It's ridiculous now.
And the Brits have done it. The Londoners all jumped on, and it's not even just Americanism, because I adore my Jamaican friends, but some of their culture, I mean, seriously, it's like, it's a hard culture, Jamaica, but it's, sex and violence. That's what sex and violence, basically. How much can and how much, you know, how dangerous am I? Is basically what, you know, that slave, you know, the historical thing. I don't know, who am I to comment on, but those, you know, the two like massive themes in America, it's money, sex, and violence. So we get kind of money, sex, and violence, and then London rap, which is just obsessed with it at the moment, and for like 10 years has completely lost its voice to me. Like we invented this new, you know, involved in the invention of a really new sound that's really hot, and then there's this sort of, you know, grime and all this sort of wave came through. And what was amazing, I thought, great, we found our sound. But what was weird is we started talking about, it's like we lost the thing we had. You know, the people like Rodney P, who's on the track. If you look up the history of British hip hop, Rodney P is the first British rapper to rap with this sort of British. His roots are in Jamaica, but he's I mean, he's an icon. He's like a massive legend. He's you know, the most revered UK hip hop rapper. He's the man, you know, and he did London Posse, which actually made it in America in the 80s and stuff. And then he was the first person to kind of find the British accent and the themes he rapped about. And then the whole sort of that spawned this whole generation of rap. Well, he was part of it, of course. It wasn't just him that had this really unique. And obviously we talked about the freaking weather and whatever, and these sort of deep themes, and it's mostly men who like it. It's actually a sort of a rare example of men being incredibly open about their feelings. I would say UK hop, it's called technically, which is probably what Mygraine, the hip hop version, would fall in. It's not actually modern hip hop, it's UK hip hop as it's called, which is a kind of tiny scene that never made any money, but it has a few like, you know, famous bits of it, and it's an amazing scene. But yeah, I don't even remember what we're talking about. So
no, I love it. I love it. So I always like to ask, you know, it's a pretty fun question. And, you know, if you could perform with anybody, any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Perform or collaborate?
Or collaborate. Either one.
Collaborate, I mean, just it would have to be like Eminem or someone.
Nice.
No one ever gives him the props. But I mean, I was thinking the other day, definitely be on my dinner party list. You know,
definitely.
Like, he was alive. You see, my other favorite rappers now, a lot of them are dead. Big Pun's dead. Big L's dead. I mean, Biggie's dead. But I mean, you know, I Big Pun's probably my favorite rapper, but. Who would I like to perform with? I guess I don't. Yeah, you know what? The truthful answer at the moment is I formed this new crew. So this thing actually really might go somewhere because I don't know. People just keep getting excited about it. It's got a good name. It's called EADHGs. So it's a hip hop crew. There's three core rappers, which I'm one of. Rebel ACA. And then Slept On or Internet, and then Wild Eye. Anyway, that I've never ever been so like, it's definitely my musical thing that I'm most, I don't know, it's like it's come, you know, they're all both really old friends, but we've kind of come together at this moment in our life with like very, very different rappers, like very, very different sounds, and I respect the two of them so much, and it's such a joy because you get to meet up, and it's like I love rap and they love rap, so we love it, making rap, yeah. But it's got legs, man. I mean, you know, it's
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's a funny name. You see, I don't have to explain it. You know, it's like, you know,
right.
It's a play on ADHDs, but it's G's. You know, with the G's and the ADHD.
I love it.
So it's fun. So we've got to start doing gigs. So that's who I really want to perform with now. We did like one fun, like sort of half, like, you know, but we haven't done it properly yet. So that's the next step. We've made loads of music. We kind of worked out what the fuck we're doing.
Nice.
Anyway.
Awesome. Well, hey, congrats on that. I mean, I'm sure that's going to happen. And where can people find you on social media to follow you in your musical journey?
Really hate social media. I don't really like almost anything about it, but and I don't know how people have time for it. But I am at well, you can either go to Christ, I'm having to look up myself. I think it's Rebel_ACA on Instagram, or you want to do the ADHGs, the_real_ADHGs
Nice. All right. Awesome. Last question. Any advice that you would give to somebody that wants to become an artist?
Yeah, I guess. Don't be a dickhead, you know. Just don't
That's
be
a
a
good
dick.
one. That's a good one. I love it. I like that.
I think that's a universal word, you know. You know, anyway. And try and take and try and yeah, try and enjoy the criticism, I guess. You know, it's good. Criticism is good. In fact, the best advice I could give is you never get any feedback, but just understand people don't say shit unless it's good. If someone's not saying anything, that's because they don't think it's any good. And unfortunately, music falls into two categories and it's taste specific, but it's either amazing or it's shit. That's basically all it is, you know. So just
That's
wait
a
for the
good
time.
point.
So if someone makes the smallest like, I like that, man, even that's all they tell you, that means it's amazing, and they'll probably never mention it again. So
Right. That's so true. Oh man, thank you so much for your
no problem.
time.
Stuff
It was
going on.
lovely,
Lovely
lovely
to meet
meeting
you.
you. And I wish you
Yeah,
all the best. And
thanks.
yes, and thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
All right.